So, I watch Kevin Samuels from time to time. And, there's a lot of thoughts he and I share. If we were to ever have a conversation, there'd be a lot of, yeah, I concur, yeah, I agree, yeah, I've said the same thing, yeah, you're right. But if I were to criticize Kevin, I think one of the strongest criticisms I'd kind of have for him would be two things. One, there's no analysis for the woman's desire for the high value male. And two, how is it even effectively possible for a woman to earn said high value male? Now, today's video is going to mostly focus on criticism number two. And criticism number two isn't even so much a criticism of Kevin Samuels truly, but more the idea in general and the desire young ladies even have for the moniker or the title or any individual male that would satisfy the conditions of being a high value male. So we're going to be mostly working off of Kevin Samuels' definition of high value male that he made in a video about a year or two ago. And I'm going to speed through the 6 points and maybe come back and sharpen up a little bit or use a little bit of the supporting details if they're necessary. So first, let's work off of our definition of high value male here.
In order to be a high value man, it starts with money. Again, like it or not, I didn't put the six-figure thing out there. It's been with us since the mid 80s, and like it or not, that's where this whole thing starts. Number two, that money needs to be made over a length of time, i.e. performance. And that's roughly about 5 years. And about the 3-year mark, you're kind of starting to scratch the surface. Why does it need to be 5 years? Well, because guys, it's a matter of consistency and stability. Number three is group acceptance. Like it or not, guys, high value man is like a fraternity. It's like a club, a secret society. And high value men know other high value men. They welcome him into the group. They know what it takes to be there. They know what it takes to get in there. And high value men, group acceptance is supremely important. Why is group acceptance so important? Because the next part, a network. You have to have a network of other high value men and others. This is another stumbling block for a lot of guys, for a lot of people, because they may have the money, even the length of time. They may look like they fit the group, but if they don't even have any other high value contacts or a network, a group of others, that person's going to be looked at with a side eye. After the network, we got to have the visibility. Guys, your income and your position has to be LinkedIn level. Think of it like this. This person says they're the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. This person is head of thoracic surgery at Johns Hopkins. This person is VP of Mergers and Acquisitions at Bank of America. And then someone says, hi, I'm an entrepreneur. The sixth part is probably my favorite part, guys. A high value man is useful to others and the group. A lot of times you hear people say, I don't want to be used. I don't want to be used. No, I want to be used. Why? Because that means I'm useful. High value men are in demand and useful.
So now that we understand what a high value male is, at least from the school of thought for Kevin Samuels, let's work off of the assumption that any woman that calls into Kevin Samuels' show mostly is believing a high value male to be that criteria set. Now, of course, if we're going to be fair or reasonable, most women probably aren't thinking too critically about the last three indicating ideas of a high value male. They're probably mostly only concerned about the amount of money being earned and the social status the man has. Tabling that reality aside, there is an important question that I think always needs to be asked, but is never really asked, and I think never really moves the conversation forward. And that conversation, or that question rather, that needs to be asked is, what exactly can a woman do to earn a high value male? Now, variations of this question have been presented. What do you bring to the table? Which I think is a question that probably that kind of misses the point, which I'll talk about in another video on its own. But the question really I'm asking, the question we need to be focusing on and talking about is, what can a woman do to earn a high value male? We're not only talking about a percentage of like humans that is so small, it's it's almost unreasonable to think that you could find someone like that, but the moment you really start actually chopping off, the moment you really start applying more criteria to simply being high earner, high status, and when you start applying must be attractive, must be tall, must be emotionally intelligent, must be selfless, we're literally talking about, and this is no understatement, this is just the legitimate truth of what we're dealing with. We're literally talking about probably a population of maybe, highballing it, 15,000 men who are going to be high earners, who are going to be young, who are going to be making over six figures, and are going to be tall, and are going to be handsome. In fact, just being tall alone by itself is only like a 94 percentile, I think, in America. When you apply high earning, and when you apply being physically attractive, and when you apply emotional support, and when you start applying all of that stuff that other women are asking for, we're legitimately talking about a population of like 15,000 men. 15,000 men divided into, even if we just say like 1.5 million, right? I think if I were to do the math quickly, I think I did the math before. I think that's like 150 women per high value male. Let's see if I did that math correct. I did do the math wrong. It's actually 100. So that means for every one high value male, if we have a population of 15 million, even if they were super attractive women, right? Let's just make that the first criterion for, I guess, what earns a high value male. There would still be 100 women per high value male. Now, of course, this is all highballing it or lowballing it really, because really we're not dealing with the population of 1.5 million women that want these men. We're dealing with a population of probably more like 100 million women. If not 100 million, probably like 50 million women that want this criteria of men. Statistically, it's not possible to sustain. It's just not, there's no rationality at all for women to even attempt to try to score a, quote, high value male when this is our criteria. When the first criteria Kevin Samuels said already puts you at like 10% of the population, the moment you put is tall, that's not even cut in half. That's probably now like 1/4 of that right there. Well, that might be being a little too harsh, because truth of the matter is there's been a lot of studies that show height is for some reason correlated with high earning. So even if we were to apply that all of the high earning males of Kevin Samuels' criteria were also tall, I mean, again, that's the 94th percentile in America about, so that's like 6%. I mean, even if we correct for it, we're probably thinking more like, if anything, let's say I highball it, 10%. You have a 1 in 10. You have a 10% chance of all of the males in America being 6 feet tall or higher than that. Plus make 100,000. It's, come on, And so when you start applying all these statistics, we're really talking about an incredibly rare specimen of man that must also be tempered morally. Now, honestly, most ladies, they don't really, unfortunately, women put up with a lot. I make a lot. Like, women aren't, women are not filled with integrity. Women are not filled with honor. So when women see wrongdoing, if it directly benefits them, it'll make no difference. They don't care. Unfortunately, it's not all women, but a lot of women, they're like, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. So the character of the high value male isn't really what women are concerned with. They don't really care until it starts affecting them. And even then, a lot of them, even if they don't like it, even if you can say women don't technically like bad boys, they don't technically like being abused, it doesn't technically make them feel good. They technically don't like being mistreated, which I think is a general statement. I think it's a generally true statement and fair statement to make, that women generally don't like being treated poorly. It doesn't really matter effectively, because while technically it's not true, effectively women put up with a lot of mistreatment because there's a lot of benefit to it. It's just the way it is. It's just a reality. So either way it goes, even if we can argue that technically speaking, the bad boy archetype is not women really liking the abuse so much as women like the fact that they might be able to change this man into someone who's productive and good, doesn't matter, because effectively that's what gets women's loyalty, or it gets their attention, or it gets their sweet watery guts, their wops flowing, right? So again, if we were to try to take this infinitely small amount of men and also have to correct for moral virtue, not even saying the nigga has to be Superman, but he has to at least be decent so much as he's not stealing, he's not hurting people, he's not overly insulting or critical or mean or hurtful in some regard. When we start correcting for that, we again take this amount, and we're probably legitimately working with maybe highballing, maybe lowballing 5,000 men, probably literally in that regard. Now, a really big problem occurs here, because even if we remove the correction for decent human, just okay, not like giving out to charity, and not even charity, kind of more as more a smokescreen and show anyway, but more actually going out to his community and uplifting people and applying his wealth to some environment. Even if we remove that correction, I want you guys to understand that the reason why I'm overly explaining just the gigantic depth of this issue here is so you guys understand the scope and scale is absurd. It's phenomenally small to even be able to encounter this man and then have this man select you and be his wife. So understanding how rare this person is, and understanding the colossal benefit of having someone who will literally make it so that you'll never have to want or worry again in your life as far as economic success is concerned, the ultimate question is, what makes a woman worthy of that? What makes a woman worthy of being with someone that would make it so that she's able to live luxuriously, lavishly, make it so that she'll never have to want for food, water again. She'll always have clean clothes. And it's not just that the woman will be fine at a baseline, but she'll have luxury. She'll have more than she'll ever need, more money than she'll ever be able to spend in the whole of her lifetime. Well, I guess we could say lots of people do end up overspending their money and becoming broke because they don't know how to manage it, but so let's say if the person was somewhat reasonable, right? What can a woman do to earn that favor from a man? What can a woman do to earn that man's love, that man's adoration? What can a woman possibly do to earn the whole of her life being granted to her and given to her, to where she'll never have to work again? And not just she'll never have to work again, but she'll have someone who's emotionally compassionate. She'll have someone who will protect her, a defender of her life, perhaps even. Maybe this high-value male is also physically strong too and willing to keep her safe. What can a woman do to earn that? And the correct answer to that question is nothing. Because I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I'm going to be really, really honest with you guys. You don't have to be a high-value male for the answer to that question to still be nothing. Even if you were an average earning man, the idea that you should give your life and work towards a woman's life and making her life better is still, honestly, probably going to be that there's nothing she can do that really earns your life. Now, most men don't frame the conversation in this manner. Some men will certainly say that we are the prize, which is another turn of phrase I think I'll have to discuss as well. But they are on the right track when they say we are the prize. So much of men is expected and required in order to create a functioning relationship with the woman. So much of the man is required. And very little is actually asked of women. Now, that would only be true as far as modernity is concerned. Because I think a woman would be fair to say, hold on there, Zers. The expectation that women have is we have to carry children. life cannot continue. The human race, the human experience cannot continue to be on this plane of reality if women choose to not have children. And honestly, you guys would be right to say that. The only problem is how many women actually adhere to that responsibility. Now, mostly conservative women are totally fine in this regard, but women who aren't conservative and women who are definitely liberal do not feel that this is an obligation they must have. No, the life of their child is actually a privilege they're expressing to their child because they decided not to kill them while they were in the womb. That's not even an expectation we could put on women nowadays. Yet, despite the fact that we cannot have the expectation that women will take care of their own children and let them live, men are still beholden to the expectation, high value or not, that we have to give our lives, even literally sometimes in the act of home defense or the act of defending her from a mugger or some sort of anything or some crazy stalker, give our lives for women. And so the ultimate question has to be, what can a woman really do to earn your life? High value male or not? But let's go back to the original conversation first and ask again, what can a woman do to earn a man that makes $100,000 a year consistently to where she'll never have to want again? And again, I think the answer to that question is nothing. Yet despite the fact that the answer to that question is legitimately nothing, Kevin Samuels still takes calls where he talks to women and basically tells them that they're not good enough to have high value men. And honestly, he's right. He's not wrong that these women aren't good enough. And it's not that these women aren't good enough because they're not pretty enough, which is what a lot of them leave with. It's not because they don't have the correct mindset in being a wife, which is a fair criticism of them, but again, probably isn't the reason why they don't deserve it. It's not because these women are usually single mothers sometimes and have already had children from someone else, which, again, is reasonable as to why a man wouldn't want to begin a relationship with a woman that already has children from a prior person or prior relationship. But it actually, even with all those legitimate reasons as to why the woman isn't worthy of the high-value male to come sweep and fix her whole life in the event they messed it up, or even fix or even give luxury to an attractive woman, even if she is the most beautiful naturally. Let's just say she doesn't use plastic surgery enhancements. Let's say she does use fat and Brazilian butt lift enhancements. Let's say she really is an attractive woman. A really serious question has to be asked. Why is being attractive, why is being wanted and desired sexually legitimately enough to make it so that you shouldn't have to work or want in your life? Now, what I know, because I'm not stupid, being attractive doesn't necessarily make a woman's life, dare I would say, happy. Easier, not happy. Because there's a difference between being happy and living a life that's comfortable. In fact, honestly, living a life that's too comfortable without stress and without strife makes the spirit weak, meaning that when menial stuff or less serious things come, you're actually more affected by it because you're more sensitive. It's kind of like any part of living, any part of the human body. Your brain actually works very similar to your muscles, despite the fact what most people say, and that is, your muscles only get stronger when it's tempered by stress, when it recovers, when it heals from being damaged. Your mind is the same. The difference is that while your muscles repair automatically, your mind has to be healed consciously. You have to choose and want to be better and reinforce yourself. Meaning that just because you have a comfortable life doesn't mean you'll have a good life, because when simple stresses come, you will be less equipped to deal with it. This happens to a lot of spoiled and attractive women. People in general, but we see it a lot with women because women are given a lot of stuff. The point that I'm making is that being an attractive person doesn't equal you being happy. But even if it doesn't, what is it about being sexually desirable that means that you deserve to have someone give their life to you? The honest answer to that question, I think if we're honest with ourselves, is it doesn't. And nothing about being beautiful means that a man should give you his whole life. Even if we scale it back down to average Joe who's a garbage collector. Even if someone was so low as a garbage collector, or low as a plumber, or low as an electrician, or low as even a manager at Costco, low earning jobs, even if that man was low, what is it about you being beautiful? What is it about you being submissive, cooperative, or friendly that entitles you to another human being's entire life? Honestly, the answer is nothing. But here's the thing. Despite the fact that the answer to that question is nothing, the life experience of women is that they've never even had to consider that idea. Destiny, life itself, fate has never called upon them in their minds consciously to think, hold on, wait a minute, I don't deserve all this stuff. And honestly, when the woman is granted with kindness, love, and compassion, if she wasn't raised with the father, or if she had an awful crappy father, that love creates terror and fear in her heart. The truth of the matter is, the women that do think like this, the women who do feel like this is too much, oftentimes lash out and get angry at the man for daring to love them, but we'll table that discussion for another time. Most women don't actually get that fear, and even if they do, they never actually address the reality. The reality is they can't earn high-value men. And honestly, most women really just can't earn men in general. If it wasn't for men's overwhelming sexual desire for them, what could a woman realistically say or do to convince a man to give his life for her? Interestingly enough, incels should probably think a little bit more critical about their loneliness when they really are thinking about the effectiveness of having a woman around. But, as I keep saying, that's another video for another time. Again, what can a woman do to earn a high-value male? And then ask, what can a woman do to earn a regular male? I'm going to say it one more time. I think the answer is nothing. Cooking and cleaning are things that the man could do by himself, and even if he couldn't do it by himself, he could pay someone else to do it. Considering the fact that prostitution as an idea is something that many more people are being comfortable with, and considering the amount of prostitution that goes on with Instagram, hiring males can simply just pay these women or pay these models to come fly them out and have sex with them. I mean, Brittany Renner is certainly familiar with that reality. I mean, if you could just pay for a cleaner, if you could just have friends normally and just talk to women normally and not even have sex with them, what is it about a wife that you really need? Especially if you're not trying to have children or a family with her. In fact, I would argue that that's kind of the only thing you would really need a woman for, but that's not what the conversation oftentimes is about when trying to view the high-value male. The conversation is oftentimes not about being with the high-value male so you could have a family and have a man be present in that person's life. Because the truth of the matter is, men that have to be working that hard to make that much money probably aren't really going to be able to have time to be present fathers in that child's life. And plenty of spoiled trust fund kids regularly talk about how much they hate their fathers because their fathers were kind of dicks. But the conversation is next to never about crafting families and what women have to do to be able to craft a family and make it work with men. It's about why women aren't good enough, oftentimes from Kevin Samuels' show, why they're not good enough to have high-value men. And the truth of the matter is, they're really not. But they're never really left with the appreciation for men in general in their lives. It's true, I have seen Kevin Samuels talk a lot about the fact that blue-collar men do make the world go round, and Kevin Samuels himself seems to have a lot of respect for men that do work these menial jobs, or these men who do work these functioning jobs that make his life more comfortable. I don't doubt for a second Kevin Samuels really appreciates these men, but it's not a huge message on his channel. It's not a message he really promotes. It's not something these women leave with. None of the women that go to his channel to complain about the fact that they can't get high-value men ever leave thinking that, maybe I don't need one. They always leave thinking they're not good enough for one. And while it's true they're not good enough for one, it just kind of leaves them being bitter and resentful, and them not actually really stopping to appreciate the fact that asking any man for his entire life is a lot. But interestingly enough, despite the fact that women are asking this, they still feel like the vast majority of men aren't even good enough for them, despite the fact that what they're asking for is the heaviest thing imaginable. And that is asking for someone to love you in spite of the fact that you don't give them anything. You're legitimately asking for a beautiful, handsome, attractive man to love you unconditionally, even when everything you can do is something that he could either do for himself or he could pay someone else to do. And you know, the truth of the matter is, for as scary as a thought as it might be initially, I mean, think about it. If you're a woman and someone says that there's literally nothing you can do to earn a man to love you, there actually might be a little bit of, dare I would say, grace in that. Dare I would say there is something beautiful in the fact. Something beautiful that a lot of people never touch on. And that beauty is, for as much as we talk about all the men that hurt women, for as much as we talk about how terrible men are, how lustful men are, how cruel men are, how evil men are, as much as we talk about all of the terror that men wrought upon the world, the truth of the matter is, men's capacity to love women for just what they are is pretty fucking magnificent. And I don't think enough women ever stop to think about the fact that plenty of them have men that will love them till they die for nothing. If anything, the ultimate conversation should never, at least from my point of view, be about whether or not a woman can earn a high value man. I think the conversation needs to be reframed to, I think women just need to appreciate the fact that men actually have a very, very strong capacity to love them just for being women. And honestly, it may not be the most inspiring message as a young lady, but you have to recognize that if you don't think you're worthy of a man, well, there really isn't anything stopping you from trying to be either. Maybe you can find a good answer to the question I'm asking. So that being said, I actually hope you guys got something out of today's video. And if you did, man, go ahead and click the like button. Shoot, go and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. And as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.